You're watching Paul Ryan's Rise, a News 3 Campaign 2012 special. Here again are Sarah Carlson and Mark Kane.
Well, Paul Ryan is the youngest of 4 children, all born and raised in Janesville.
In fact, Paul still lives just a couple of houses away from his brother and from where they grew up. Tobin Ryan sat down this week for a conversation with our Susan Siman and talked about what it's like to see his kid brother on the national stage.
He may know Paul Ryan better than anyone else. 47-year-old Tobin Ryan is Paul's older brother, the third of the 4 Ryan children. 42-year-old Paul is the baby of the family.
When you look at Paul, do you still see, your little brother that you'd punch in the arm and you share a bedroom with? I mean, can you grasp that he is the vice presidential nominee?
It does take a leap, because he still is that little brother, and we still play pranks on each other. There's not a family photo when we're next to each other where the other guy isn't still trying to inch up a little taller than the other.
Paul Ryan.
Tobin watched with his wife and 2 children as Paul took the stage on the USS Wisconsin. He says it's all a little surreal.
The first week, I think we were numb and still kind of coming off of a cloud, and now it's sort of sinking in, and this is real, and it's happening. It's all around us, but we couldn't be more excited, more delighted for Paul, for Wisconsin, for the Romney-Ryan campaign.
How did he tell you? How did your brother tell you?
He called me on Friday night. I learned a few hours before you did, and he had just gotten off the phone with our mother, and called me, and I saw the phone ring. We were already in bed, and I said, "Uh-oh, this is it." So I kind of knew. I didn't sleep a wink that night.
And how did your mom feel?
I think she was in shock. Absolutely. And but just our mom is such a rock, and her words to Paul immediately were, I love you, we're here for you, and we're proud of you.
What are some of your favorite childhood memories of him?
Our family did backpacking for summer trips, and 6 of us would pile into a station wagon, no air conditioning, and head west and find a mountain and bring some tents. And we had this really tough day, and we're all huffing and puffing and sitting down, and Paul is sitting over the side, and all of a sudden just breaks out singing "America the Beautiful." And we all looked over there, and we were just speechless. And so maybe there was something in his DNA, even at that early age, that gave us a hint into what kind of person he was going to become.
Paul studied economics in college, and shortly after graduating, went to work for former Congressman Jack Kemp.
I really thought so many things came together in those few years when he worked with Jack, where I think Jack tapped him on the shoulder and said, you ought to go do this. This is something that is meant for you. And I think Paul was probably thinking about, either a PhD in economics or something else.
When Paul was 16 and Tobin was entering his senior year in college, their father, Paul Sr., an attorney in Janesville, died of a heart attack.
It was Paul who found my dad, and obviously extremely traumatic situation, but I tell you what, it was so tempting to stick your head under a pillow and grieve, but you do that and you pick yourself up. My brother invoked a phrase that my father said frequently, which is be part of the solution and not the problem. And if we ever complained in our household, if we ever observed verbally a challenging situation, you would hear this soft voice say, go fix it. Be part of the solution and not the problem. And when Paul said those words, on the USS Wisconsin, I know my siblings and I, got choked up because it sounded just like my dad.
Are you afraid his life may forever change? That he has this Norman Rockwell existence here in Janesville? Do you have any concern that everything is about to change?
It will be overwhelming, but it feels right.
Pride.
It just feels right. It's the right time for him. It's the right time for our country. We're absolutely proud of him, and and he's going to make Wisconsin proud too.
Our thanks to Susan Siman.